Aloha everyone, back here on the Best Hawaii Unedited, and I am joined by a Maui native who is multi-award winning and so very talented and has such a impactful and wonderful story. I'm so glad to be able to share it. Kamakakehau Fernandez, thank you for
Mahalo.
joining
Oh,
me.
mahalo. Great to
Yay.
be here.
And we actually have like kind of Hanai family connections.
Yes,
So.
yes.
Wow.
Our history goes back. I mean, like you say, it's a small world, right? We are here in Hawaii, and so the more we dig into our journeys and such, and we find friends and families, and so you always got to ask somebody, oh, who's your mother, who's your father, right?
Yep.
When it comes to dating, because you never know.
Right, exactly.
But,
so
yeah.
take us to the beginning. Where were you born? Elementary school, all that jazz.
Yeah, so what most people have come to know of my story, I was born in actually Little Rock, Arkansas, and at 6 weeks old is when I was hanai, or adopted, and really became the dream of my mother, being that she couldn't have children naturally. That was her heart's desire, and hence my name Kamakakehau. That means the heart's desire. So just the whole thing. The whole process happened through Catholic Charities, and next thing you know, I was on my way to Maui.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how was it that Arkansas came to be?
Actually, yeah, that's a good question. Actually, it was a deacon, Michael Thorpe from Christ the King Church on Maui. And he was the one who traveled around, so he made that known, that there were kids that needed homes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so your mom, may I say, Robin Naiole, from
yes.
the, of course, Naiole family from Maui. Did you have any other siblings, or were you an only child? Or?
I actually do have other siblings. My father had kids previously to marry my mother, and I'm still in connection with at least one of them. And then, what's so interesting, because music has actually connected me. Well, it connects all of us, but following traditional Hawaiian falsetto music, it was always been Anticha Noa Keawe. And a few years down the line, after I started, making appearances and stuff, I get a phone call, and it's Pomaikai Lyman.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, "Hey, who's your father?" And I was like, "Oh, and she's like, "Oh, but they called him something else, so everybody knew him as Smiley." He was always, smiling.
That's a great nickname.
Yeah. And so that connection happened, and it just so Pomaikai's mother is my cousin.
So that means you're
Fernandez
related
side.
To Auntie Genoa.
Well, yeah, pretty much. That connection. So her
Right.
mother, married into the Keawe family, and so we are all Ohana.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your father having other children, was that before your mom, or
That was
after?
before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're older.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what was it like growing up on Maui?
From stories that I've always heard, at the time when my father was in my life, and in our lives, he was just so proud and taking me everywhere. But there, my parents did separate after a while, and but I've always felt accepted. I always was treated well. The only time that I can remember ever having to face any kind of maybe challenging moments because of the color of my skin was just when I was little. The kids like, how come you're so black? These things, stuff like that. But for the most part, it's always been aloha, and that's the story that I want people to really gather too. From coming from a position in adoption where most people would think, oh, your family didn't want you, or things like that, how blessed, the situation can turn out to be. And even in our differences, no matter what, race, religion, or creed that we come from, it's, how we choose to walk in our lives. And yeah, so it was very accepted, and it's because of Hawaii's culture that has rooted me in these thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Do you know who your biological parents are?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
Was there ever like a
It was considered like a closed adoption.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, my grandma said, yeah, they were young professionals doing things. So we'll go with that.
Yeah. And so, obviously growing up, how did your parents navigate telling you that you were, I don't want to say different, but I'm not sure how they conveyed that.
I don't really recall any sit downs or really specific. Maybe there was just a moment. Yeah, I guess there was actually. No,
It's coming back.
It's coming back.
They say you don't really remember anything before 4 years old.
Yeah, that's
So
yeah, we're really digging here. But I actually recall going home one day and I was just in tears because the kids were teasing me at a certain time, and I believe that's when she said, well, I mean, you are different. You do have different color skin. You are African American. You were adopted. All of those stuff. So there was a little bit of that moment, but after I learned to accept that for myself, nothing really fazed me after that. I've always, was just inclusive in everything.
when I was growing up, I remember the kids calling me a effing howlie.
Mm.
And I was super brown. And I was like, wait. Because I was raised by my howlie mom. And so, kids, they just say things just to say things.
Yeah. But that's why later on here we are, we get to kind of be those lights or stewards, I guess, of just not being, or the voice for those people who feel not accepted or whatever it may be.
So tell me about elementary school.
Yeah, elementary school was a good time. This is where a lot of, I would say, music and hula, this is where it started for me. Because every time before we entered into the classroom, we had to chant. For certain programs or after school, we would be, or during school, we'd be learning hula.
Is it a Hawaiian immersion school?
And it was all Hawaiian immersion.
Okay.
This is at Paia Elementary. Yeah, we had a lot of, I guess sports happened there. I did a lot of basketball and volleyball. But it was just so simple. It just seemed so simple compared to now, back in those days. We could just walk down the street and go to the gym or go to the town.
So when you were growing up, did you learn to speak Olelo Hawaii first or English first?
I learned how to speak Olelo. Yeah, more Olelo because two of my mother's siblings were teachers as well. So it was always around in our household. And but my mother, so she didn't really speak, but we had, moments. I started in elementary immersion, so that was a little bit more of that time where I really got immersed into that culture. So, and started to grasp and understand, I would say.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So if your mom's siblings were teaching it, then was she the only one that was affected by, I guess, there was that movement, right, to not teach it for many, many years before the Renaissance?
It was just about that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just about that time. And this is why they made that decision for us to be entered into immersion, because, yeah, we needed it to be revived. Yeah.
So what kind of activities? I know you kind of mentioned Oliing and whatnot. But.
Yeah. Well, in my younger days, there's an annual event that happens every year, known as Ho'omau, and this is where it's a fundraiser for the Hawaiian Language Immersion School there, and then you have all these different parents that participate. So we did a lot of community events, whether it was help volunteering at the Ike Fernandez County Fair, But I did do a lot of paddling later on in my years as well.
Paddling?
Canoe paddling,
okay.
Yeah. That was a big part of our ohana as well, from my great-grandparents to, my uncle, my mother's youngest siblings and such. So, yeah.
Is that why the Pailolo Challenge starts from the Ritz?
Mm,
Or maybe
I
it's
never
just
did that one.
okay.
But
Because I was like, it's such an interesting, location. But
yeah. And then there's one, there's a Maliko one too,
Mhm.
which I always thought was kind of interesting. But um, we did do some long distance paddling as well. And so through these activities, this is where you'll find a lot of other Ohana, Kaiapuni, immersion students and classmates and such, just continuing to build our community. Um, but I guess over time too, I'm trying to recall, how many times did we actually have the opportunity to olelo fully? Like, I feel it was much different then. It was only in school, as opposed to like being here now on Oahu, where you have it everywhere.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm.
but
And I do feel
yeah,
like maybe, what, 2, 3 years ago is where it really kind of emerged in terms of
yeah,
how Ole Mahina o Lalo Hawaii,
yeah,
and so that's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely awesome to see. You even have films and things that are incorporating Olelo Hawaii into it as well. So
Yeah. And I'm
it's
really excited.
definitely,
A little bit down the line in this interview, we'll talk about some stardom that you've had in terms of Olelo, but staying back in elementary and on Maui.
okay.
um, so when did you start like singing and this
Yeah.
voice?
Um, Music or singing specifically really didn't come till like the desire to actually do it, because like I mentioned, in elementary we were always singing, right? Whether it was mele, ho'olulahui, reviving of the land and honoring our ali'i. But I never really got into falsetto singing until high school.
Okay.
So I feel like I was kind of late. you
So
know
when you would sing when you were younger, did you try to sing lower? Like,
I was just singing
yeah.
whatever everybody else was singing. There was really no intention at all. It was just, this is what you needed to sing, this is how you're going to sing it, and so be it. So I guess the developing stages. But what inspired, I guess, I mean, it's always a funny story to me, because I was in the courtyards in high school and just stretched, and I did something with my voice where a friend of mine just came out and she's like, "Whoa, that sounded good." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then she encouraged me to go listen to some Hawaiian music, and then next thing you know, the teachers were telling me, "Oh, you should learn that, because first of all, it's Hawaiian music. Second of all, there's not too many people that look like you singing Hawaiian music." And so I'm like, "Oh, okay." So that's when I started diving in, hearing Hulu Lindsay from Maui, Uncle Richard Hopi'i, and Teacher Noah Kiave. The list goes on. And so once I started hearing these songs and the style of singing, I just started to mimic that and eventually make it my own.
Did you get an actual voice teacher or coach?
Um, there was brown bags. See, that was another thing. Brown bags. I forgot about that. That was my first time doing the high school competition, and then I lost. But you have to keep up with your academics in that one. So I was lucky enough to have made it that particular year, and the group dropped out, made it to the finals, and I made it here to Oahu.
Wait,
And
so were you like the
I,
overall
I,
Maui winner?
I was a runner up.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a runner
And do you
up.
remember what you sang?
I sang an original song,
Oh,
but at the end of this song, I composed it to sound like Alika at the end. So
okay.
I kind of
You
changed
did
it up.
the.
Yeah, I held that note, right? And yeah, and then that brought me to Oahu. Um, yeah.
Was brown bags held at the shell
At that
or?
time, no, it was held at the Neo Blaisdell.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, no. Stan Sheriff Center. Yeah.
Oh. And then how did you do at the states?
And it was just me. I think I did well, but I didn't win.
Okay. Oh, see, we're digging up the
Yes,
memories.
and I had gone in with my original again. It was just me. I had anticipated to bring the band, but they couldn't make it during that time. So it's like, oh well, just got to go and do it, you know.
So does that mean you had a band that would perform with you in high school?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I had several different musicians that I've worked with throughout, um, but at that time, um, for that specific contest, I had two bandmates. Yeah, yeah. It was, I mean, the thing about Hawaii is if you know how to play music and an instrument, everybody will come together and support. Yeah. Um, so it was just really created for that moment.
wow. So what kind of accolades did you achieve in high school? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah. So high school, um, well, I mean, we were state champions for canoe paddling, and then, of course, the brown. Well, I did. Oh my God. Yeah. We'll come back. No, 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 no. Um, well, I'm trying to think
What about
about
May
this now
Day? Were
because
you
I
like the
did.
May Day
I
king
did some
or?
things in
Because I was the May Day
Mayday.
MC,
Oh,
which is
okay.
so like
I think
kismet.
right. Yeah, yeah. Well, I did one thing in I just only drink made it. That was it. I
Okay.
didn't get much awards in high school at all. Yeah, I'm
Wow.
like that. Yeah, I'm digging. But canoe paddling for sure, and just I guess that brown bags kind of got me to another level.
Would you say you're a good student?
Horrible.
Oh.
Yeah, I was. I would say academics just wasn't my thing. I would often jokingly say if I could have sung my homework, I probably would have got better grades because that's like where my attention was. Um, I was, you know, ADHD, hard to focus and all of those, so I had a little bit of a challenge going through high school or just school period. Um, but I suppose that's where I got into music as well because that was like my strong suit, and I knew I could. It was something that kept my attention. So
Wow.
yeah.
And how much was family a part of your life?
Oh, I mean, without a doubt, all the way. And of course, there were concerns, of me going into the music business because it's like not a stable job. It's hit or miss kind of deal. Um, and family is everything. We want to be around our family as much as we can. Um, and so, as time went on, I had to learn how to balance that. But my family had always been in support. My mother, most especially. In the beginning, she was my momager, you know. Um, but I think one of the greatest lessons that she, allowed me to just make the mistakes, fall,
And allow
and
you to get back up?
yeah, and get back up, and if you need that help or the assistance, of course I'm here. But yeah,
So when your mom and dad divorced, was it just you and her?
yeah,
Oh.
yeah, and so I was probably from about 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
So literally
Yeah,
like single mom,
yeah,
kind of sort of only childish.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It was her and my grandmother. My great grandmother was fortunate to know um, Rose Ching, Granny. We call her Granny Rose Ching. Um, she was our babysitter, and everything. So, yeah, everybody was a part of our lives.
Wow.
Yeah, so, or had that help. As they say, it takes a village.
What would you say is the number one thing that you learned from your grandmother?
Hmm. From my grandmother, well, she always told me to stay prayerful. Her husband was actually a deacon as well. So, religion was a big part of our family, and we had that option to choose, as long as we had some kind of religion in our lives. Um, but she always told me to pray, and use your gift of discernment, you know. And so, that's always stuck with me. I'm sure there's so much more that she's mentioned, but that one is the one that really resonates for me.
Yeah. Was there any struggle with choosing religion and then also perhaps your sexuality?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. There definitely had been that challenge because you hear all the people and what they're saying, and there was a moment that it drew me away from church for a bit because I didn't want to be pinned out. But in an essence, I just know that the things that I do and I choose is love and to be a good human, and those are also things that are stated in the Word. So, yeah.
What was your coming out process like?
Again, I got home and I was again in tears, or I think it was like an argument perhaps that my mother and I had. Just a challenging part of my life. Just trying to grow up, want to do my own thing, being that little rebel child, if you will. and and then that's when I just said, well, this is my challenge. I am gay, and that kind of just calmed things down a little bit, and I was accepted in that sense. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Did she kind of say like, I knew?
Oh yeah. She
Okay.
did. She did.
Because I feel like that's what moms always, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
They're like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I had a feeling, but and uh, and it might come as to shock to some people who probably, see this, but I'm become comfortable in my own skin, and I know my kuleana as who I am, but yeah, she always was supportive of me after that. Yeah.
Good.
But she said, "Oh, I wish I wish to have grandchildren." And I said, "Well, maybe I can adopt, but unfortunately, that hasn't happened yet. She's gone home. Both my parents have I say ascended, but you never know what'll happen."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find that there was a form of religion that you felt accepted?
Oh, that's a great question, actually. I would say more. So we grew up Catholic, um, but I've gotten to experience Buddhism, and I feel that's more of an all-inclusive. I don't practice that like religiously, just sort of say, but
It's the mindset.
yeah, it's a mindset of an all-inclusion,
Beautiful.
all-inclusive. Yeah.
So when did you come to Honolulu or Oahu?
I came to Honolulu, I want to say, I think it's been like 16 years ago. And I moved because I wanted to experience more in music and get a little more exposure and stuff. I actually was, again, it was a part of my life where I was looking for change. I mean, work. We all been taught to go to work, get a job, do all of these things, but there was just a different calling for me. It wasn't, I didn't feel like I needed to be at a 9 to 5, God bless those who do it, but that there was more for me to experience in life, and to utilize my God-given talent to be able to make a living, and I've been fortunate in that sense, but I was I was a little too comfortable back home. I had just gotten home from a trip, I remember, from New Zealand, and without a job, because I actually, I always like to say, you never know when things are going to happen again, right? You never know when opportunities are going to come. And so I was asked to go to New Zealand, but I wasn't able to get off from work.
Oh,
So
we've all made those kind of decisions.
yeah, right. We've been there.
Where you're
Yeah.
like, do I want to do this?
Yeah.
Or do I want to do
Yeah,
that?
and so of course I chose New Zealand. So by the time I got back,
You didn't have your job anymore.
I didn't have my job. So, that was the thing. But for me, it was worth it, and it opened up the door for me to come to Honolulu, to which that just blossomed tenfold.
So when was college? Was it immediately after high school?
Oh no, I never went.
Oh, I thought you studied at university.
Oh no, I've
Oh.
just done things at the university.
And put it on the resume.
No. I just made appearances and such because of music.
Wow.
At these universities. But
Okay. Yeah. For some reason I thought you moved to Oahu.
No,
and
girl.
then you studied at UH.
The thing about it is because academically, again, I wasn't like the best student, so I really didn't want to go put myself through that again.
Gotcha. You're like, no thanks.
Yeah. So.
Classic. Okay. And so, what were you doing for work?
Okay, so for work, I had several different jobs. My first job was working as a guest service representative, aka
okay.
lay greeter, at the OGG airport, which I loved that job because I would get to see all these different artists that would come through. Hapa would come through, Amy and her brother, and Willie K, everybody. I remember when Chris Rock came in, Britney Spears. Yeah, I mean,
so you were the one greeting them with the lei and everything? That's cool.
Halle Berry. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a great experience because I was, got to learn the working community and then also, meet a lot of people. Gain that I guess exposure to different people. So.
A little taste of
Yeah.
Not wanting to be a celebrity, but
being
being around them.
the presence.
Yeah.
Even Tia and Tamara, I remember meeting them for the first time.
The
too.
twins, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
And then following that, I worked at Halemakua, which is a senior care home.
Oh.
Yeah. And it just so happened my grandfather was in there. And so every time we would go there into the activities department, we saw the bulletin, or my auntie saw the bulletin, and they're like, hey, Kamaka, there's a job happening over here. You should get on board. So I did.
Wow.
And that was a blessing because it taught me patience, but also, how to have fun. This kupuna, they were the Rascalots. So we had some good fun, though.
Wow. I feel like you're so bonded with your grandparent culture.
And that happened to be because we were always around them. They were our babysitters, took good care of us. And so I had no problem with being around, our kupuna. Yeah, so I worked at the old folks home, activities department. We did all kinds of fun things. And then that was about 2 years. And that was around the time, again, that I got asked to go to New Zealand. So, I said, mahalo, it's been wonderful. And then upon returning from that trip, then I moved. My aunt, actually, we were messaging, and she said, okay, well, you need to, get your butt up here and get to work.
Did you feel like there were more opportunities in Honolulu?
I did,
Okay.
yeah, because Maui at the time, it was really just more luau's, which that was another thing I did. I performed at the Kokololeo luau, which was at the Mar Tropical Plantation at the time.
Oh.
I don't even know if it's still open now, but
I think the plantation is, but I don't know about luau's.
the luau, yeah. So, we had our moment there, but that was felt like the only opportunities to really gain exposure. I played at the county fair and different events throughout, but
Neighbor Island kind things.
yeah. But I never got into recording until I got here to Oahu.
So was it your goal to produce an album, to win a hoku,
Yeah. So, after winning the Falsetto contest in 2003, that was my first experience with being able to record that compilation album. So um, there were, there was kind of the buzz, like, oh yeah, you got to make your,
Is that the
kind of
prize?
yeah, that was one of the prizes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
with Hula Records at the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you enter, and then how many people are in it?
My year, I believe there were 10 contestants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you think, like, I could win this?
Oh, I had confidence. And especially working with, at the time I had two other musicians, Kaiola Farron um, and Kamanao Kane. And, they're great musicians. And then I also had one of my teachers, Pulama Collier. She comes from a line of entertainment as well, with her brothers being a part of the group Āina,
Oh,
old
yeah.
school group. And so she had, some creativity. So she helped me through that process. And
Because how does it work when, like, how many times do you sing? What do you sing?
yeah, well, for the contest, it was you really choose whatever song that you want. But what they were looking for was really performance, storytelling, stage presence, confidence, and stuff like that. Yeah. And so the song I chose specifically is called He Ui, a song by Danny Kua'ana. And in Hawaiian music, it's very poetic, right? So you have some hidden meanings. The song, although the word ui we know in Hawaii is beautiful, it's not just talking about the beauty, but it's talking about all the beauty and the
Because that song has a lot of character, right?
A lot of character, and so that's what ended up happening on the stage. I added in a little ami here, and and that's what won me that contest. But yeah, just all kinds of different.
Does it still take place each year?
Now, I hear that they do still have the falsetto contest. I'm not too sure. I think it's festivals of Aloha.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they're still doing it. They are. Yeah, there are some.
So
new
what
ones.
happens after you win? Because was it called the Richard Ho'opi'i
Correct.
Falsetto Contest?
Yeah.
2003 winner. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of like the whole, right?
Yeah.
The whole name.
Yeah. 2023 Richard Hope Falsetto Contest, and so we would get a recording contract, or as far as that compilation album, and that was pretty much it. I think we got like $500 too, but that brought me here, and I worked with Greg Sardina and Baba Alimut. Yeah, so that was my first exposure to some sort of recording. And so after that, it was like, I remember, seeing articles and things like, because also on this album, winning from the Big Island was Matt Sproat.
Okay.
From,
Yes.
gosh, yes.
I'm totally blanking. Because Mrs. Sproat was my kindergarten teacher.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Waipuna.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
good job.
And we're back. Hello.
I'm like, because I was like, I know it's like one word.
Yes. So, he won for Big Island.
Okay.
And then Imi Pono Cabrina won for this island, and then I was for Maui. So there was three of us on this album, which was very unique because that was 2003. But the article that came out was, I wonder who of these four, falsetto winners are going to come out with their album, and so on and so forth. So it kind of, was stirring up in there. The energy was out there. And finally, after a few years, I was ready, and then worked with Dave Tucherone.
Do you think that winning that kind of set you on the path for people to like recognize you and acknowledge you as like an up-and-comer?
Yeah, it definitely did open up more doors. I want to also say that the Brothers and Friends really also exposed me as well, in the sense of being out in, because at that time, Tony was doing an impersonation of Don Ho, that was one of the scenes. And I had actually just happened to be here on Oahu with my first job for a company event, and Tony Silva was there. And so he said, hey, we're filming actually today up in Manoa. Do you think you can make it? So I said, my team of workers are like, you're going to go. Let's go. So I actually would owe my credit to that as well, because still to today, people will say, oh, I remember seeing you on the show, The Brothers and Friends.
Wow.
Yeah. And so once the album came along, it was then people are like, okay, now more exposure happened from that.
Okay. So how many albums have you produced now?
I want to say at least 3. I do actually have I'm a part of another compilation as well that just was released. It's called Popolo Heno.
Oh.
And it is out now. This was a project that was actually put together by Komohula Mahelani Uchiyama, who is actually based in Oakland, California.
Okay.
But she's just done a lot of things with Hawaii. And so actually this was her dream, to be able to honor African Americans, especially, who have been a part of the Hawaiian Kingdom.
Wow.
And
so are the featured...
So the featured artists, though, Hawaii, no,
Oh, okay.
they're a good mix. Yeah, you got Kalani Pe'a on there. You have Ikaika Blackburn, Kaulike Paskaya, Kavika Alfichi, who is also in Cali. Patrick Lendeza, also in Cali as well. And another artist I haven't yet been able to meet, but yeah, that's out now.
So how does the Popolo part fit in?
Yeah, so a few of the songs that were composed by these artists were for people like Betsy Stockton. Betsy Stockton, who was one of the educators out in Lahaina, African American educators out there. You have people like Anthony Allen, who was here. His Hawaiian given name was Alani, and he actually was he was in charge of all of the balls and things like that for the king. Yeah,
The
King
social
Kalakaua.
director.
The social director, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Very
So,
interesting.
A lot of rich history with African Americans here. So, yeah.
So do you identify as Hawaiian or African American?
Hawaiian heart and soul, yeah. I definitely honor my African American heritage as well, because it is my genes, right? So, but I struggled with that. I did struggle with that for a little bit, because I never really knew where to fit in, because I wasn't Hawaiian by blood, but I wasn't really black either, by culture.
You didn't know it,
I
really.
didn't know it. So, but, I've really come to accept that I love being different, even with the selection of song that I did for this particular album, Popolo Heno, was different. I'm not singing. I'm actually doing it's more of a mele oli, so a mixture of chant, but with a melodic,
Beautiful.
melody to it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'll have to take a listen. What makes someone Hawaiian?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. What makes someone Hawaiian? Well, in my perspective, it is someone who embodies aloha. You're being and becoming what I always reference Tutu Pilahipaki. I call her Tutu now, because she's an elder, but she actually is ohana to my great-grandmother. And I didn't learn this till much later, but she brought to life the meaning of aloha, that we come to know. Akahai, lokahi, olu olu, ha'aha'a, and ahonui. To be kind and unity, patient, pleasant, humble, and always having patience. I said that already, but anyway, to embody those characteristics and just being a good human.
Yeah. I know I've interviewed on behalf of NAHA, the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association, some very, very prominent Native Hawaiian advocates and people. And it's interesting when I ask them what makes someone Hawaiian, because if you look at the genealogy and the past of the Hawaiian people, they came from all over the world, right?
Yeah.
From all over Polynesia.
Correct.
And so they even debate,
Yeah.
what the genes are and stuff like that. But I always feel like it's whatever's in your heart,
Yeah. Yeah.
born and raised or just raised or whatever, you embrace the culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I even also believe that aloha, lives in distant lands as well, because we have had people who, have had to relocate or decided to for whatever reason. And so, I feel like it is, it's wherever you are. And
Yeah. And like you said, being a good person and sharing aloha.
Totally.
So sharing, you've shared your voice on a huge project.
Yes.
Tell us about that. How it came to be, and
Yeah. I'm laughing because I remember I was stressing out for that role. I mean, like most people, right? We always want to be sure we put our best foot forward in anything we do.
Did you not feel worthy?
Oh no, it wasn't
Okay.
so much that. I just I remember going down to the beach and literally filming myself. I was just making up words that I thought would suit whatever tamatoa, the shiny crab, would say in Moana. And I was literally on the beach, like I was that crab.
Okay.
I put myself
Getting in character.
Getting in character.
Was this an audition?
And it was an audition.
Okay. So you're auditioning for Disney.
Yeah. I didn't think I was gonna get it. I really didn't.
Wait, so were you crawling on the sand like a crab?
It was just me. I was just holding my phone.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, Tamato, and I was just making things up, but it was very B-roll. But anyway, one thing led to the next, and I ended up getting a call, going in for the audition process, and I only studied the speaking part. I didn't do anything with the singing. So then again, I was like, okay, well, I think I did well with the speaking, but I've never really had that type of acting.
Voice acting.
And voice
Yeah.
acting, and it was really a voiceover, and so it was a very interesting process. I was in a play, a Hawaiian language immersion play, but that was the only experience that I really had for the first time. So it was.
So how did you know that Disney was looking for voice actors for Moana?
Oh, everybody was just
messaging.
They're, sending me the
the lahui was strong with that one.
Yeah, they sure were. So you should do it. My cousins, my friends. So I said, okay, I'll go try it, whatever. I don't think I'm gonna get it, but yeah. So anyway, now and at that time I think I was actually still working at Punana, or I had either maybe just left Punana. And now, ever since doing that, I've become anakala tamatoa, because in Hawaiian preschool, everything is anake anakala, which is auntie and uncle. Yeah, so all the kids though got to go and see it at the premiere, and that was an honor, really. Because for me, in the fun of it all, it was really lifting up the lahui, inspiring the next generation to, see some possibilities.
Major.
Yeah.
Wow. What would you say is the greatest accomplishment of your life so far?
Ooh. Well, without the accolades, well, no one's ever asked me that question, but I feel like it's just been being pa'a, being strong in who I am, and knowing my family is there in support. Yeah, I feel like that is my biggest accomplishment. Beyond all the accolades, it's knowing who I am and walking in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they probably saw such a bright future for you, and to see you walking in that path
Yeah.
is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And it
And I
has.
don't have a Kleenex. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I can grab a napkin.
Oh, mahalo, mahalo. It has its challenges, but like anything in life. But um, I would say, my mother had always said, to follow through. And this is something that I want to follow through with because I realize that, I am different and not necessarily for people in Hawaii, and people have often said, I see you as a Hawaiian. I see you as a Hawaiian. It's your soul, your spirit, and I get that. But I think my kuleana is beyond Hawaii, and those are the people that also need to understand, um, what we have, what we're so blessed to have here in Hawaii. Thank you. you know, yeah, thank you. What we have, yeah, out here in Hawaii, and that is aloha. That is looking beyond the veil, of a person's color or sexual preference or whatever it is, religious beliefs. Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes back to just being that good human, and it's because of good humans that I'm able to be and walk, and of course the blessings of God, to be able to do what I do.
It's amazing what you're doing. I mean,
Thank you.
it's really inspiring. And you are traveling all over the world.
Yeah.
Sharing your message and your mo'olelo and yeah. So tell me about your travels.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I know you went to Japan recently,
I
Nagoya.
did. I was in Nagoya, and even the last time I went to Nagoya was, several years ago. So, and since I hadn't put out anything new music-wise, or like my own album, because my first was in 2012. But I didn't even know how much people were actually there that still supported my music.
Yeah.
So
and
that
they
was
must be
pretty
so impressed.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they showed some good love. And then I was in Chicago. I got to go to Northwestern University, to be able to share with some students there. So, been everywhere. Oh my gosh.
Do you find that you make more money, like performing in concerts on the mainland, or how does that work?
Yeah, in all honesty, there are, people that appreciate your talent. So when they do, they'll support you and they'll, pay you what you're worth. And so, just I guess I'll lead that into saying, when you're putting yourself out there as an artist, for any aspiring, artists out there, to just really continue to work on your craft, and people will reward you. You'll be rewarded for that. Yeah. So it's been a blessing.
Yeah. So are there any other goals that you want to attain, or what's next?
Oh, well, I do wear many different hats. For me, it's always about what are other ways that I can contribute to society, and leave the world better than it. We count our blessings, but our world is a little nuts right now. Just a little, yeah.
For me, I feel like it's ignorance is bliss.
Right,
Slightly.
Right.
Because if you get consumed by everything, it's just...
Yeah, exactly. But, I definitely will be putting out more music. I would like to be more involved in film, especially films that have to do with Olena Hawaii or anything really. And then I also have been on the path of just helping people to, I've always kind of been a health and wellness advocate as well. So, there's lots of those as well, just leading people in, that right direction to health, if it's something that,
I think for me, it kind of comes across more of like mental and emotional health as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
and that you are really trying to inspire people to uplift them, and
This is true.
Yeah.
And you'll see it all over my social. It's always flipping the trajectory, if you will. Seeing a brighter light, but being able to control what you can control in that moment, and finding the mentors that can kind of guide you through that.
Speaking of mentors, like, who was your mentor?
Well, I'll go back to, in addition to, my family, I have my Auntie Rochelle and Uncle Derek, my mother, Robin, my grandparents. Pulama Collier is one of our immersion kumu with music, and she's kind of helped me on that path as well. Moana Salazar, I want to say Mailani, Makainai, the more younger generations, right? Te Haum. And that's all just on the music, entertainment side. But just in life, too, I have other relatives, distant relatives. Layla, shouting out to Madiba. There's a whole lot of them.
Wow.
There's a whole lot.
Oh,
and
that's
it's
beautiful.
it's the village, right? It takes a village to really. So depends on the season that I guess I was in at the time. That's who would be coming into my path.
True. So you're teaching.
Yeah, I do teach Olelo. It's little cohorts here and there, usually closer to when Royal Hawaiian Center come around. I also do ukulele lessons as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of, let's have you play. So I'll do my little give props to where we're at.
Yeah.
So we're at Arden Waikiki. Thank you so much. It's such a beautiful space. And we were talking earlier that I used to work here.
Yes.
20 plus years ago when it was something else, but it's located near the Kapi'olani Park and the fountain, and they're open Wednesday through Sunday for dinner. And you got to check it out. Great for happy hour.
Love it. I did see that.
And then I'm also wearing Yumi Kim, who is sponsoring my attire, and it's just beautiful feminine dresses.
Beautiful.
For girls.
I love it. Yes.
Who are you wearing?
I am wearing, who is this? Oh, Manaola.
Oh, sweet.
Manaola.
And then what about your lei?
And this lei was gifted to me. It's just a lei silika. It's like, if you feel it,
Yeah, velvety.
It's velvet, yeah. Uncle Dino Harvest blessed me with this. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, before we say ahui ho, Kamakakehau Fernandez.
Yeah. Iwa ho mako I ka pone a I ke I kanani o kai manahila a kai manahila kau mai luna Iwa ho mako I Waikiki ea a I ke I kanani o papa he e nā lu a papa he e nā lu he mali Iwa ho mako I Kapi'olani pāhaka a I ke I kanani o lina poe poe a lina poe poe o olu hiki no Haina haia mai anaka uana a I ke I kanani o kai manahila a kai manahila kau mai luna
So appropriate.
Yes,
for the
definitely.
location.
Absolutely.
Oh, beautiful.
And mahalo to Ko Aloha. This is their slim line. This is one of my sponsors here. I love their brand and style. Yeah.
They love you too.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yay.
Mahalo.